If you had told me that Zack Snyder directed Black Adam, I'd honestly believe you. I'm just kidding. Although there are parts that feel very Snyder-like, but today I am going to be reviewing the brand new DC film, of course, produced by the one and only Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And of course, this is a new installment in the DCEU, and I'm going to be doing a non-spoiler review, so stay tuned until the end of the video and let us know in the comment sections what do you think about this review. And of course, I have to wear my Black Adam shirt. And I've already established I'm a big Black Adam fan from the comics, so it is honestly amazing to just know that we have a Black Adam movie. Now, the crazy thing is we have two Shazam movies and a Black Adam movie and almost two Aquaman movies before we ever got the Flash movie. Flash, I don't know how that's possible. It's a DCEU. We have the Flash in the intro, but Shazam has two movies, and even his main villain, Black Adam, gets that. But enough of that. Let's actually review the movie. First of all, I don't even know the director's name, so I'm not even going to pretend like I do, but the movie is honestly really fun. Now, do not expect like a Godfather, Dark Knight level kind of thing. This isn't a top 10 comic book movie. I wouldn't even say it's in the best DC movies. I think there are better DC movies. I think the Suicide Squad is far better. I think all of Zack Snyder's DC movies have been better, which is BVS, Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's Justice League. I think there's a lot of DCEU movies I would say better. I would say Black Adam is better than Aquaman, Shazam, Birds of Prey. I actually like Birds of Prey, so I know some of y'all are going to be like, oh, well, obviously it has to be. And I know some people are going to expect me to come into this and be like, Rotten Tomatoes is wrong, Rotten Tomatoes is wrong. No, I can understand why a lot of critics felt the way they did. This movie really isn't big, major, Godfather level, acting level, all this and that. It's more just mindless, fun entertainment. And the thing I like is that the movie establishes that from the very beginning. I think this movie did really well at kind of doing that. And I gotta admit, the movie has a lot of humor. It has a lot of heart. And I know some people, when they hear humor, they think MCU humor. You know, humor where every 5 minutes they have to crack a joke, and any serious moment is ruined by a joke. I disagree with that. I think this movie handles it in a way. I would use a good example is Infinity War. Infinity War has jokes, but they know when to balance out the jokes and the serious moments. And I gotta give them props for that. I gotta give them all the credit in the world for that. It's a great movie. I had a lot of fun. The action is phenomenal. By the way, if you're just in it for the action, you get the 1000%. This movie has a ton of action. So much so, it was cool. It was entertaining. It was a lot of fun just to see, Hawkman and Black Adam. The Justice Society. Let's talk about the Justice Society before we go into Dwayne Johnson. So, I'll say the acting by Pierce Brosnan was the best out of all four. I think Pierce Brosnan was freaking amazing in it as Dr. Fate. I like Dr. Fate. I like his voice. I like that they explore that. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say this, but I apologize for the messy background. I am changing things up in my room. But Dr. Fate, I love him. I do love how they go into how he can see the future. I am a little disappointed they didn't go too much into Dr. Fate, but then again, I feel like that was always going to be a problem from the beginning. There's a lot of characters in this universe, or not universe, but in this movie that you have to establish. You got the Justice Society, which contains Cyclone, Atom Smasher, Hawkman, and of course, Dr. Fate. Pierce Brosnan was the standout of all of the members in the Justice Society. Aldous Hodge was amazing in it. I did not expect him to be as great of a character. Now, I'll admit, you never go in depth with these characters. At most, you just hear that Dr. Fate is just very experienced, he's very wise, and he can see the future. You don't know much about them. You don't know much about the reason why they become there. Cyclone and Smasher are kind of sidelined in this movie, but I'll admit, every minute they're on screen, I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and I can see them as a couple, too. Atom Smasher is, of course, the obvious comedic relief. I think Noah Centineo played him really well. Quentin Sandel was really good as Cyclone. A lot of their action's pretty cool, although I am surprised Atom Smasher isn't in it as much. I'm surprised by how much weaker Atom Smasher is in this movie, which was a little bit of a surprise. But from what I was saying before, this movie, there are action scenes that feel very Snyder-like. Like the slow motion, the fight. It felt like Zack Snyder came in and directed those scenes. I won't say it's not the best action in the DCU. I think, of course, the Zack Snyder movies have better action. I'll say even Birds of Prey. I think Birds of Prey's action was amazing. Of course, they brought in the guys from John Wick, so of course it was amazing. I would say the action though is better than movies like Aquaman, better than movies like Shazam and all that. And there's a lot of great action in this movie. The fight scenes, they feel very anime-like, especially between Hawkman and Black Adam. Hawkman is the guy who fights Black. I would say Hawkman is the guy who fights Black Adam the most. I would, counting there was at least 3 fights between them, even more than the villain Sabak. I'll get into Sabak later, but now let's actually get into the standouts. So Dwayne Johnson was actually pretty good, but half the time it was just serious face, like, I'm not the hero conduct needs, I'm the hero I got, something like that. He wasn't even the standout of this movie, but that's not a bad thing. I think Dwayne Johnson was great. I think Black Adam's great. I love the origin of Black Adam. You can see the reason why he's so rageful, why he's so angry. But the standout of this movie, surprisingly, was the character of Isis. Now, I don't know if they say her name in the movie, but reading everywhere else, she is labeled as Isis, played by Sarah Sahi. I'm not very familiar with the actress, but she was the standout. Surprisingly, she's hardly in the trailers. There's even some scenes that you think she's in the movie, but those scenes were a different actor, a different actress. But I think her character is by far the best. You saw more motivation in her. You saw more desire in her, and I like that. I also like that the movie does go into, Kahndaq has been taken over by these mercenaries, but in a world with metahumans, heroes, you got the Suicide Squad out there, you got the Justice League out there, a lot of Justice League references, by the way, you got the Justice Society, but yet none of them ever came to save Kahndaq. And I like that the movie was kind of like, yeah, like a bit of a meta commentary where they're like, yeah, where were you guys? You guys are the protectors of the world. You guys are supposed to keep peace, but you only show up here once Black Adam's here. And that is a good question that the movie does ponder. Now, it doesn't go in depth with that because this movie is not very in-depth mindful. This isn't like the Joker movie directed by Todd Phillips. It's not like that. It's more just fun, entertaining, mindless fun. The beginning of the movie starts off in a way where you think it's going to be more into that serious darkness. And so then the movie happens and then you're like, okay. But first of all, if you're in here just to see, will they portray Black Adam right? Like in the comics, I'll say he's not as villainy as the comics. This movie does really go into the only reason why he's labeled an anti-hero is because he's been selfish up until this point and that he kills people. By the way, there's a lot of deaths in this movie, all done by Black Adam. There's a lot of killing. I don't know what the kill count is, but I'll definitely tell you that, it's like he may have had the most kills in this movie. Actually, he did have the most kills, but with all the DCU characters, well, I guess you could say Lex had the most kills. I don't know. I'm not keeping count. So if any of you guys have seen the movie, you guys are the ones that keep count. But my hat's looking weird on camera. Feels normal on here. But Black Adam, I really liked him. Black Adam was great. Black Adam was phenomenal. Everyone was great in this movie. Sarah said he was great. I like the kid. I don't know what the kid's name is. Yeah, it doesn't show his name at all. I can't find him. But the kid, I really liked his relationship with Black Adam. That's actually the reason they get Black Adam to feel some sympathy, that feel more human, by having him paired up with his mother and her son and all that. And I like that the movie establishes that. Again, it's not a very emotional movie. There is a specific scene that is very emotional. You'll understand what I mean once you see the movie, but I do like that. There's a lot of great things from this movie. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of entertainment. And the characters I like. But now let's get into the negative. By the way, overall, I think it's a great, fantastic movie. But now let's get into the couple of negatives. Number one, I rarely ever nitpick these things, but one thing this movie does is it confuses you as to the DCEU, because they established that the Justice Society has always been known by the rest of the world as these heroes who protect the peace. But yeah, we've never seen them up until now. And not only that, but Man of Steel BVS kind of goes into, holy shit, the world's never seen heroes like this. A man's flying in the sky. But then you see the Justice Society and you got, oh, okay, 2 guys can already fly. This one girl can twirl around, make tornadoes. And this guy can turn really big, and who is inherited by his uncle, who was a previous Atom Smasher, meaning that the world's known about Atom Smasher for a long time. And so it is a little odd that the movie just kind of just goes into real quick. There's even a reference in this movie that goes into saying that Superman was this shocking revelation once he flew to the sky for the first time. There's a reference to that, the events of Man of Steel and BVS, but the movie still kind of just goes along. That was a little nitpick. Another nitpick is the dialogue is very one-dimensional. It felt like what you would expect from any comic book movie where, I'm not the hero conduct needs, I'm the hero it deserves. Or something like, oh, you need to be a hero. Heroes don't kill. There's only two types of people, heroes and villains. And I'll say, I've always said this, heroes have always killed. Batman has killed in the comics. Superman has killed in the comics. Even in the DCEU, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, they've all killed. But the movie kind of goes into being like, yeah, but heroes don't kill. But the only explanation we get into that argument is because we need more evidence from them once we capture them. And that was a little bit weird from the movie's part. Another negative I have is, well, yes, Dwayne Johnson's very charismatic. There's actually some funny scenes here that I really like. Dwayne Johnson really isn't this big, great actor. He just does what you kind of expect him to do. And never in this movie did I think, oh my god, Black Adam. No, I kept thinking Dwayne Johnson. I will say Black Adam is incredibly badass. And I forgot to say this, but the music choice in this movie is great. There's at one point where they play Power by Kanye West, which I was like, what? I did not expect that song to be in this movie. But then again, I didn't expect Hallelujah to be in a sex scene in Watchmen. So sometimes I just don't expect what is given to me. But that's a couple of negatives. I saw a lot of people, now this isn't a negative, but I saw a lot of people criticizing Sabak. Sabak is the villain of this movie. Now, he's barely in the movie. They show him at the beginning, a little bit they show him at the beginning, and then at the end he's the big bad in the third act. I see a lot of people criticizing Sabak's barely in the movie and that he's just a generic villain. And look, let's not deny it. He's a generic villain. He's not like Heath Ledger Joker level. He's not in those categories. I would say he's more kind of like Ares from Wonder Woman, where, he's this looming threat. Hardly referenced. He's less referenced than what Ares was in Wonder Woman, because he was a looming threat in the movie, while Sabak really isn't. Sabak is kind of, Ares shows up at the end and fights Wonder Woman. That's kind of what Sabak does. And I can now tell the reason why they didn't show him in the trailers, because they were trying not to spoil one thing, which I won't get into, but you'll understand what I mean. Not a major spoiler, but it's a tiny spoiler, and I kind of hope you guys just see that for yourselves instead. But no, the movie was pretty solid. It was pretty solid with the way it approached Sabak. And I'm fine. I think I like that, because from the beginning it shows you Sabak was the looming threat of Kahndaq. You need a way to prove Black Adam, while maybe he's not a good guy, and while maybe he's a villain or anti-hero, whatever you want to call him, he is still Kahndaq's protector. And I like the way they entered Sabak. Not every villain needs to be this big, oh, he's there from the beginning, from the end, and all that. I'll just say this, though. I don't like how the story with Sabak ends. I'll admit that. The way the fight at the end ends with Sabak, and I'm trying to be as vague as I can, it was very kind of generic, and that's another thing the movie suffers from. It's very generic. It's very nothing new. Like, you don't go into this movie expecting some brand new brilliance. Not like the Batman that came out earlier this year where you were like, oh shit, gritty detective story, noir and all that. Well, this movie is just more like, hey, look, if you're in here for a popcorn flick, boom, that's what you get. I like that the movie did that. I like that the movie understood what it was. And I really love this movie. I love it. I don't just like the movie. I love it. And I got to give them props for that. But Sabak was pretty generic. A lot of the dialogue is pretty generic. Like, literally, if you were to show me the script of this movie, I would have just been like, whoa, this feels like it should have came out in 2005, which, I mean, Dwayne Johnson did get casted back in freaking 2007. That's insane. The entire MCU has happened since then. But overall, phenomenal movie. The post-credit is, I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm sure most of you guys already know what it is. The post-credit really got me out of my seat. It excited me. I love that. I guess some people will ask this, well, how was Amanda Waller in the movie? You don't see her in physical form. You only see her in a hologram, really. But I do like that they established that in the DCEU, Amanda Waller, she wants to control everyone she can. She'll do anything for control. And she believes that what she's doing is the right thing to do. Even though morally and ethically, it's a little sus. Overall, as it builds the DCU, the movie, it does build the DCU. It establishes the Justice Society is here, establishes Black Adam's here. The movie does say, I am so glad. This was my one nerve. I was worried that they weren't going to bring up Shazam that much. And I don't mean the character Shazam, but I mean the lore of Shazam. You do see the Shazam wizard you see in the Shazam movie, that same guy. You see the council of Shazam, of the wizards, I mean. Why I say Shazam. And you do see Dwayne Johnson says Shazam twice in this movie. And so I do like that the movie... So if you're somebody who watched Shazam and you watch Black Adam, you're going to understand the connectivity. So that, to me, I think really shows you that they are going to eventually have a Shazam and Black Adam fight. So that's all I'm saying. So if you're worried about that, I think this movie kind of goes into just being like, hey, it exists. It's all out there. But yeah, it was a pretty fun movie. It's a really good movie. I didn't expect too much of it, but I like what I got. And overall, I had a lot of fun. This isn't a movie I'm going to be buying on Blu-ray, really. I think this is just this is kind of like Aquaman, where it's kind of like you really love it, but you're not going to be rewatching it that much. And again, there's a lot of DCU movies I prefer. Man of Steel, BVS, Zack Snyder's Justice League, The Suicide Squad. I would have to think about other DC... Even this year, of the DC stuff we got, like the Batman, it's nowhere near as good as the Batman. It's not even as good as Peacemaker. But look, I didn't need it to be as good as those things. You know, very few things can be as good as those things. So I just like that the movie knows what it is. It's fun. It's entertaining. And again, there's a lot of love and humor to it. There's a couple emotional scenes I like. Well, not a couple, but there's very few emotional scenes, but I think they're done really well. And overall, I gotta say this right now. Until we watch Black Panther, I probably won't be able to answer this, but standing right now, I think DC... quality-wise has had a better year than the MCU, and I hope this movie succeeds because I want to see the DCU flourish, and I thought this was a good step in the right direction. I am so glad that after Wonder Woman 84, it seems like the DC movies have improved. Now, I'm not saying because of Wonder Woman 84 they've improved. I'm just saying that ever since that Wonder Woman 84, which you guys know I don't like Wonder Woman 84, we had the Suicide Squad, we had Peacemaker, we had the Batman. I know the Batman's not DCU, but it is made under DC, production. I've liked what we've gotten. I liked what we've gotten. There was also this isn't a spoiler. I'm not going to reveal anything, but this is a spoiler. So there are scenes where the kid, I forgot what his name is, but the kid has a lot of posters, a lot of comics, merchandise of the Justice League members, Aquaman, Flash, Wonder Woman. There's a lot of moments where that room gets destroyed. There's two moments where Black Adam, one, he shocks the face of a Superman poster, and at one point punches a hole through the Superman logo in a poster. And then at one point rips apart the Aquaman poster, the Flash poster, Wonder Woman poster. And I'm like, wow, this is a nice subtle way of saying that Black Adam really would probably want to hurt the other members. And honestly, I'll say this right now. If Shazam does ever fight Black Adam, at least our current Shazam, I don't know how he's going to do it. Because Black Adam is ruthless. He is ruthless and violent. And does not give a fuck who you are or what you are. You know? But I like that. And also the movie does play a lot into the fish out of water thing. So I got to give them credit when credit's due. But overall, I had a lot of fun with it. Who do I recommend this movie to? If you're somebody who's into Fast and Furious kind of movies. Yeah, I know, Fast and Furious. I have to bring up family. If you're into those kinds of movies, this is the kind of movie. Mindless fun entertainment with a little bit of emotional, a little bit of humor, here and there. I think that's who I recommend this movie to. Don't go in there expecting some big, majestic story. No. Just go in there, have fun, enjoy it while you can. Eat some popcorn, take in your friends, your family, whoever you're going to watch this movie with, and just enjoy it. But overall, I like this movie. I liked it. I loved it. Anyways, that's it for today's review. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed it. And let us know in the comment sections down below, what do you think about our review? Did you like the way I spoke? Did you not? Whatever it is. And also, have you seen the movie? Have you not? Whatever it is. Let us know in the comment section down below. And I'll see you all next time. Shazam!